So we've got a quick video now on long lines, what they are, how to use them. So a long line, if you haven't come across them before, is essentially what it says on the tin, a long line. So it's a long lead, fixed length. You can get them in lots and lots of different lengths, but it is a fixed length that is slightly longer than your standard 2 metre lead, 2 or 3 metre lead. Possibly the most useful piece of equipment you will ever purchase. There are lots of different types, lots of different styles. I personally like the coated biothane leads because they're waterproof, so when you're out and about and training them on the floor, they don't get dirty, they don't absorb the water. You can buy fabric ones, but you do have to wash them. You can get them with handles on the end, not on the end. The one I have has an option, it's a clip, so you can have a big handle or you can take it off. We do stock these in our online shop. This is a 5 metre lead. You can also get them in 10 metres, 20 metres, 30 metres, as long as you like, in theory. Obviously, each has its own use and its own purpose. I am quite comfortable with my 5 metre lead. Any more than that, I don't really like using it. I will occasionally use a 10 metre, but no more. They're really, really good for practicing your recall, practicing lead work, and practicing around distractions. So for lead work, obviously they're really good to show that it's nothing to do with the lead and to give dogs a little bit more freedom to reduce the need to pull, and then you can work on them being close to you. For recall, obviously they can get a little bit further away, but they're not going to choose to ignore you because they can't, because they're attached to the lead. Also really good for working around distractions, as I said. So for example, my dog's recall is brilliant until he sees another dog, or until he wants to chase a ball, or find anything that could be fetched. So really, really good for if I'm somewhere like a park with lots going on, people playing football. My dog can be on a long line, feel like he's off lead, but at the same time he cannot practice going to get his rewards that he would like. So he can't go and practice chasing a football, he can't go over and say hello to other dogs, but he feels like he's off lead. So the best way to use a long line is to have the handle, either have a handle if you want a handle or not have a handle, but have the end of it. Many people will tie knots in their long line. Now I personally don't do this because I don't like them having knots in. One of my little OCD traits, can't have knots in my long line, and I'll sit and pick them out. They can be really useful if you have a really long line because it gives you a marker as to how far down the lead you are and almost a stopper. So some people will tie a knot every metre or every couple of metres. That is obviously personal preference. I don't like knots in mine. We can hold the end of it, and the easiest way to do it is to gather this lead up over your hand. So you've got lots of big loops going the same way, and then you have the clip to attach to your dog. As your dog gets further away, you can drop a loop to give them some freedom, and as they get closer to you, you can then pick it up and reel it in so that it's not just dragging along on the floor, not getting tied up around them. You've got enough lead that they can do what they want to do, but at the same time you're not getting it all tied up and tangled. This I find is the easiest way. So best thing to do is to practice. Find a willing victim, a person to hold the other end of the lead, and practice walking away from you and walking towards you while you practice either dropping a loop or picking a loop up, dropping a loop, picking a loop up. That way when you do come round to attaching this onto your dog, it's going to feel more comfortable for you. You're going to know how it works and how to manage it without getting in tied up in a knot when you've got your dog on the other end of it. Now the aim is that dogs should always feel like they're off the lead. So we don't want them just to get to the end of it and then pull us along. We can use these to support our lead work. So if they get to the end, we stand still, we wait for them to come back to us, but we can also use it to recall them before they get to the end. So if you know you're getting to that last loop and the rest of it's on the floor and you've got just one loop left, time to call them back. If you've got so far up your knots and you know you've only got a couple of knots left, time to call them back. It can create a dog that wants to stay close to you. So say I use a 5 metre, that means when my dogs are off lead, they tend to not go more than 5 metres away from me, because this has taught them that's how close you need to be. If you go further than 5 metres, mum's not around. mum's not as close, and I need to be in that 5 meters for some good stuff to happen, for some treats to happen. So often it will encourage a dog to stay closer to you when they are finally let off the lead. They are a brilliant training tool. You can use these alongside a fixed lead, so having a fixed lead and a long line, and swap between the two, something I frequently do on a walk. But these are so beneficial, and possibly, I say, one of the best things you can ever buy. You can buy them really cheap. These are obviously the plastic coated ones, they are a little bit more expensive, but even that 5 meter lead, £20, not too much. If you haven't got one, I would highly suggest getting one, because they are incredibly useful. Practice it at home, practice using it, and then attach it onto your dog and have a practice in a non-distracting environment, so that you can both get used to the new sensation, new feeling of a lead together at your own pace.